Let's dive into the world of SAP production planning and break down 3 absolutely essential make-to-stock strategies. We're going to explore how companies plan their production before a customer even clicks buy. So, if you really want to get your head around forecast-driven manufacturing, you are in exactly the right place. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the basics, what make-to-stock, or MTS, actually is. Then we'll walk through 3 key SAP strategies, the super simple Strategy 10, the much more flexible Strategy 40, and the really powerful component-focused Strategy 70. And to wrap it all up, we'll help you figure out which one is the right piece for your production puzzle. Okay, first things first. Let's really get to grips with the big idea behind everything we're talking about today. What does it actually mean to make to stock? It all boils down to this one question. You see, unlike a make-to-order world where you wait for a customer to call, make-to-stock flips that script. You produce based on a forecast. You're building up your inventory before a specific customer order even exists. You're basically making a bet on what the future demand will be. You know, it's kind of like a classic bakery. They don't wait for you to order a loaf of bread. They bake 100 of them every single morning based on what they expect people will buy. And that is the heart of the MTS flow. You predict, you produce, you put it on the shelf, and then you sell right from that stock. It's a totally proactive way to run production. Okay, let's get into our first strategy, and it's the most straightforward one of the bunch. Strategy 10, also known as Net Requirements Planning. With Strategy 10, it's simple. The forecast is king. This is what we call a pure push system. You create your forecast, in SAP terms that's a planned independent requirement, or a PIR, and you produce exactly that number. Now, when sales orders come in, you just ship them from the stock you already have. The key thing is, those sales don't change your production plan one bit. Okay, so you might be wondering, how does the system actually keep track of this? Well, Strategy 10 uses a principle called first in, first out, or FIFO. All this means is that when a product gets shipped out, the system reduces the oldest forecast first. Let's see what that actually looks like. Check out the logic here. When those 50 units get shipped, the system doesn't just subtract 50 from the total. Nope, it specifically goes back and reduces the oldest plan, the one from January. This is just a really clean, chronological way of managing your demand program. So why does this matter? Well, this strategy is absolutely perfect for high volume, low variety stuff. Think about things like bottled water or standard copy paper. The demand is super predictable, and the main goal is just to have a simple, steady production rhythm. It keeps things uncomplicated. But what if you need your plan to actually react to real sales? I mean, a pure forecast can be pretty risky, right? And that brings us to the much more dynamic and honestly more commonly used Strategy 40, planning with final assembly. With Strategy 40, this is where the plan and reality finally start talking to each other. Your forecast, that PIR, still kicks off production, but now, when actual sales orders come in, they actively interact with your forecast, and they do this through a really cool process called consumption. And this is where the flexibility of Strategy 40 really shines. You get to decide how those sales orders eat up your forecast. Should an order look backward in time to find a forecast to consume? Or maybe forward? Or hey, maybe both. You get to define the logic that makes the most sense for your business. Let's walk through a super simple example of backward consumption. Okay, so we planned for 100 units back on November 15th. Then, a real order for 30 units comes in on the 20th. That order looks backward, finds the closest forecast, and boom, it reduces it. Your remaining plan is now 70. Just like that, your plan is more accurate because it's reflecting what's actually happening. Honestly, this is the go-to strategy for so many businesses. It gives you this amazing balance between proactive planning, which keeps your factory running smoothly, and reactive fulfillment, which makes sure your plan adjusts as real orders hit. For a lot of products, it really is the best of both worlds. All right, time to level up to our most advanced strategy for today. What happens when it's just way easier to forecast the demand for common parts than it is for a bazillion different finished products? Well, this is exactly where Strategy 70 comes into play. And this is the core idea right here. Instead of trying to forecast finished cars, which come in all sorts of colors and options, you just forecast a key part they all share, like the motor. You're basically planning one level down in your bill of materials. Hey, let's go back to our bakery for a second. With Strategy 70, you're not planning the finished loaves or the baguettes. No, you're planning the dough. By having a really good forecast for this common ingredient, this subassembly, you get incredible flexibility to quickly make whatever customers are actually ordering. Let's look at the numbers with this motor assembly example. So you forecast a need for 1,000 motors. Then sales orders for 3 different car models roll in, creating a total real demand for 1,200 motors. Now that real demand consumes your entire 1,000-piece plan, and the system is smart enough to flag, hey, you still need to get 200 more to meet these orders. So the big takeaway here is that this strategy is a game changer when you have what's called a fan-out assembly process, where one common part goes into many different final products. It makes your forecasting so much simpler and gives you maximum ability to respond to a diverse market. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground, from the super simple to the pretty complex. So let's take a breath and put it all together. We'll compare these 3 strategies side by side. And this table just lays out the whole progression so clearly, right? Strategy 10 is pure forecast, totally rigid. Strategy 40 lets real sales come in and adjust that forecast. And strategy 70 takes that forecast and moves it down to the component level for maximum flexibility. You can see it's a clear spectrum moving from rigid all the way to agile. So at the end of the day, each strategy is just a different tool for a different job. The right choice really depends on your product, your market, and how you build things. Are you making one product with rock-solid demand, or are you making 1,000 different things that all share common parts? Answering that question is what will lead you to the perfect strategy.
Welcome to